Welcome everyone to today's online info session about the Diploma in Health Information Management at Ashton College. I'm Davina from the Marketing and Communications team, and today I'm joined by Kyla Reimer, our Program Director of the Diploma of Health Information Management here at Ashton. Okay, with that being said, let's get started. Welcome, Kyla, and thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. All right, let's start with my first question for you right away. So can you tell us about the health information management field and what it involves?
Definitely. So the health information management field, or HIM field, it focuses on analyzing and protecting both paper and electronic health records through accurate data management, privacy, and security and compliance with the various provincial as well as national laws. So as a health information management practitioner or professional, we code and classify health conditions for inpatient diagnosis as well as for any procedures that are done. This in turn helps support different statistics, funding, various research projects, and initiatives. HIMs also ensure healthcare organizations follow compliance regulations and use the data to support quality improvements as well as quality performance initiatives.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that overview. Definitely sounds like a very crucial field. Perfect. So can you tell us a little bit about your career and educational background and why you chose this career?
I obtained several scholarships in high school and went to post-secondary right after I graduated high school. I took it in person in Regina, Saskatchewan, at SciAst. Now it's Polytech. But I took that right after graduating high school in 2005. It was a 2-year program in person. I completed practicum year 1 in rural health and practicum year 2 in population health. Then after receiving my diploma from Regina SciAst, I wrote my national certification exam with the Canadian Health Information Management Association. I passed that, and then I began working where I actually did my year 2 practicum, which was formerly the Cypress Health Region. Now the province has amalgamated into the Saskatchewan Health Authority. Since then, I actually still work with the Saskatchewan Health Authority, now on a casual basis, but I've held many positions throughout the SHA over 18 years now, I guess. I have worked in rural health, acute care, public health, mental health. I was the supervisor of patient registration and health information management for many years. And now currently I'm working casual in mental health as well as public health. My main role is here with Ashton College. I am the program director for health information management, as well as I am also still an instructor for the program and for our unit clerk program as well. Lastly, I also hold a part-time position with our professional body, CHIMA, that you heard me referring to earlier, the Canadian Health Information Management Association. So I am a community facilitator of interoperability and terminology standards for CHIMA. So I wear a few different hats, but they all benefit me within this wonderful profession.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yes, I'm sure that's definitely really, really helpful for prospective students to learn a little bit more about you and learn about all the different roles you have held. That's great. Thank you so much for that. Okay, then my third question would be, can you give us some more details about the DHIM program here at Ashton?
Yes, so the wonderful thing about the program here at Ashton College is we offer a ton of flexibility. We understand a lot of our students are working, they have families, perhaps children. So we offer a lot of flexibility. To start, we have rolling admission. You can start the program several different times throughout the year. It's not just that traditional September start date like a lot of post-secondary institutes have. We also have 3 live classes per week and 2 recorded classes per week. Now, even the live classes are recorded. So if you're not able to attend the session and the lecture from your instructor, they're all recorded. We use Google Classroom as a platform. They'll be posted by our wonderful online team, and you can view the recording after the fact. And you can simply let your instructor know, and that counts as you being attendant for the class. So it's so wonderful to have that flexibility. Of course, as instructors, we do encourage students to attend whenever they absolutely can, as it builds a great sense of classroom and connection with your peers. However, that is a nice option if you are simply unable to attend those classes. You can still view them after the fact.
Perfect. Yes, definitely. Ashton's flexibility with its programs is super, super helpful, I think, for so many students who are working, have a family, whatever it is. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, thank you. Then, so apart from that, what would you say is your favorite part of the program and what will students benefit from the most?
I would say my favorite part of the program is the fact that we can all be remote. We've got 22 modules in the program, and up until our very last module, which is the practicum, that you need to do in person. But aside from that one, all of them can be done remotely. And it's just the most fascinating experience to be in a classroom setting with people all over Canada and have that connection. And as we know in healthcare, we have national guidelines, but that also breaks down into provincial. So when we can have students from all over, like I said, I'm in Saskatchewan. A lot of students are in BC, but we do have students from all over Canada. And it's absolutely fascinating to see where they come from and how valuable it is to have these students from all over the country sharing their experiences and their valuable location-based knowledge. So I would say that that is my favorite part, that we can connect remotely. Technology has really allowed us to do that.
Yes, that definitely ties in with that flexibility again and just getting all those different perspectives from all the different students. That's, yeah, definitely a great aspect. Perfect. So then how would you personally describe your teaching style?
I'm an easygoing instructor. I get it. I know what it's like to be working, juggling a few things. I'm married and have two young kiddos, so I get that family aspect and the whole work-life balance. So I'm an easygoing instructor. I try to be available after hours as well. Technology does allow for that, so I can get back to you with your burning questions as soon as possible. I do like the lecture-based format. I really encourage students to attend my live classes. I like to facilitate discussion boards, and I would say I'm a discussion-based instructor. I love to do breakout rooms whenever I can. I do a lot of class activities, even if you aren't able to attend the live classes that you are expected to submit after for those conversation pieces, and to really get everybody to open up and have that connection like you would in a face-to-face or hands-on classroom setting. But overall, I think my students would probably say I'm a pretty easygoing instructor that will work together and make things work for you to complete the program.
That's great to hear. Yes, it's definitely a good way to keep students engaged, especially in an online space. Great approach, I think. Perfect. Then my next question for you is, what are your expectations of students in the program and how much study time will students need to dedicate each week to be successful?
Well, as I mentioned before, when at all possible, attend those live classes, 3 classes a week. The classes range from 3 to 4 hours, and then we have those 2 recorded classes that are usually an hour and a half to 3 hours. I expect students to devote the time necessary to complete all the activities within each module, including reading, critically writing, answering the questions to different case analysis that are given, problem-solving activities, oral presentations, exams, researching and writing academic papers, of course, following APA referencing that we use here at Ashton College. So study time really depends greatly on the student and the module and will vary, but at least an hour after class for additional work and review. Even if we don't have an active assignment on the go, there's always documents to be reviewed to prep for an upcoming quiz or exam or a class activity or presentation to be working on.
That's definitely super useful to know for anyone considering taking the program or enrolling in the program. Perfect. Okay, and then another important point, what are some career options or typical next steps for students after they graduate?
After completing all of the modules, with the final module being a 200-hour practicum, that is a face-to-face practicum that you will be placed on, then providing you pass the program, a 75% overall passing grade, then you are required to write the national certification exam, which is with CHIMA. And once you pass that, CHIMA only offers it certain times throughout the year. So you need to register for that. And of course, there is a fee for that as well. And then once you get your exam grade back and you become certified, you can put the lovely CHIM qualifications behind your name. And you're good to go to put on your resume that you are a certified health information practitioner with diploma and that certification, and can head out into the working world from there. A lot of our students can gain some networking skills from being on practicums. To name a few of the positions that would be available for us here as HIMs would be an HIM in acute care or private medical clinic. Coding specialists, and we're seeing more and more of the coding specialist positions going remote. You can work from your own home. You can work for whatever hours you want. There's a wide variety of different companies out there for coding as well as transcription. As health information practitioners, we're often eligible for those transcription positions as well. Quality management, health information management positions are huge. Research, statistics, and analysts. I've seen a lot of analyst positions recently. Those ones you typically want to have a bit of experience as a health information practitioner before going into those. They're very valuable positions, research-based positions. There's also positions in utilization management and decision support, risk management positions. Community health clinics, population health, those ones are good ones. A lot of times there'll be temporary positions for different initiatives or funding that the government has maybe done that you can be a part of. Long-term care facilities, privacy officer, and of course, release of information specialists are some of the more common ones. But sky is really the limit. As you gain experience and knowledge in the working world, there's always a lot of opportunities to move up in an organization throughout different management positions as you gain knowledge and build on your career.
Yes, I think what you just said, the sky seems to be the limit. So many options and so many different paths to take. That's definitely really exciting, I think, for anyone considering this program. Thank you so much for that thorough description. Okay, then, so my next question for you, in your opinion, what are the most essential skills or qualities needed to be successful in this field?
I would say attention to detail, very strong organizational and time management skills. Okay, knowledge of the health information standards. You'll gain that as you go through the program. Very important to know, the Canadian as well as provincial standards. And then once you get into the working world, usually broken down further into your regional health authority or your provincial health authority. Firm understanding of how to read, interpret, and apply the health data for reporting. So reading those statistics and being able to do the analysis. Quality improvement and decision-making skills. You want to have a very firm understanding of privacy and confidentiality. Very comfortable with technology and databases, strong problem solving and critical thinking skills. And then, of course, kind of building on the privacy and confidentiality, you want to have good ethical judgment for handling sensitive information. Especially if you're working in a smaller community, you can expect to be dealing with some sensitive information of perhaps somebody that you know in the community as well. So having those good skills to deal with that as well.
Okay, perfect. That's great to know. Yeah, know what to strive for in terms of skills. Perfect. So then what would you say, if there's such a thing, what is a typical day in the life of someone working as a professional in this field?
Well, this can really vary position to position depending where you're working. Are you in acute care, rural health, mental health? Are you an analyst, privacy officer? It really depends. But I would say overall, you can certainly expect a fast-paced environment. As we all know with technology, it is changing. It is always changing, right? And healthcare is no different, piggying back on technology as well. So I would say healthcare and technology changes so rapidly. You need to be able to learn on the fly and adapt to new situations is crucial. Be ready to take on the day and not necessarily have a strict plan of your day, because that can change quite quickly when you get into the office and things start getting a little crazy, especially if you are in acute care or an emergency department. You're going to be a little bit more on the fly than you might be if you are in, say, an analyst position and you know a little bit more what to expect from your day to day. But certainly, being able to adapt to technology and those changes quite quickly.
Definitely. Yeah, I can definitely see how it would be yeah, very very versatile, and you have just so many different options that you could take for your day-to-day, and yeah, I guess adaptability is definitely the key there. Um what other advice would you give to students who are new to the field?
I would say really devote the time and energy that you need for every module. Okay, our modules, they not all of them are in a specific order, but the ones that you really need to build on. So, take for example, medical terminology, and then to go into anatomy. You need to have a really strong base of your medical terminology to go into anatomy and physiology. From there, you're going to go into pathophysiology. So, if you don't have a good base of medical terminology, how are you going to keep going? So it's just an example of really ensuring that you're devoting that time and energy that you need for every module. Because we do one module at a time, you want to keep building on that foundation to set yourself up for success for the future modules, as well as for that national certification exam, because that comes fast and that is a very intense exam through CHIMA. So be comfortable with medical terminology and anatomy. This is also the building blocks for coding. Okay, so that comes after your medical terminology, your anatomy and physiology, pathophysiology, studying diseases. Sorry, I'm throwing out a lot of these names here. And then we have two coding modules that come a little bit later. And if you don't have a firm understanding of those body systems, coding is going to be very difficult. And that's a big one. That's one of the more popular areas that grads will go right after graduating, before they may branch off into analyst or privacy release of information position. Having a base of coding is important. Okay. And also get involved with CHIMA. Okay. They have student memberships, which actually we're now requiring for our Ashton College students, is to have a student membership. It's at a reduced price. And so this is going to be a requirement now for our coding modules, because you need to have the Folio Views, which is a software system that you'll get to know more as you start the program. But you need to have that through CIHI, which is the Canadian Information, or the Canadian Institute of Health Information, has the folio views that you will need. So it's required for that, as well as it's really beneficial. CHIMA offers wonderful education sessions you can be a part of. They have job postings you can peek around at, some great connections and networking abilities as well. So I really encourage students to get involved with CHIMA. Lastly, I would just say get comfortable with the privacy laws, learning systems, and the standards, and really have a firm understanding of that, again, because that's another big one that a lot of our modules are built off of, and you need to have that firm understanding to continue to go through the program.
Okay, great. That's definitely some great advice, especially good to know, I think, for students to be to get involved with CHIMA, and that there's that student rate. That's really great to know. Perfect. Okay, and then my next question for you is, what's your number one reason why students should choose a career in health information management, specifically through this program at Ashton?
Well, I've certainly said how much I enjoy being here at Ashton, and the flexibility and the ability to have students from all over Canada, instructors from all over Canada for that matter. We have such a great team here at Ashton, great support through the instructors and the flexibility that we have for students right from our online tech support. They're fabulous. They're there to help you if you need techie issues that sometimes as instructors we may not have all that tech advice that you can get from our online support. If you're having troubles with your Google Classroom or you're getting into your exams, whatever it may be, or your Zoom, we have a wonderful online support team that can help you, as well as our student success coordinators setting you up for your practicums, helping you guide through all of that. We really have some great resources in place to offer an exceptional experience and set you up for success and a fulfilling career in health information management.
Okay, perfect. That's great to know, and definitely, yeah, a great point to consider for potential or prospective students. Great. And then the last question from my side for you is, what has changed the most in your field since you started your career?
Oh, I would say technology. So when I started 18 years ago, a lot was still paper-based. The majority was paper-based. There was just talk of an electronic health record and more technology, whereas now most areas are all electronic health record or a hybrid model of both, right? There's also great focus on cybersecurity and privacy now that we've gone more electronic. Whereas 18 years ago when I was in school, it was more so security concerns with those hard copy charts, or maybe if you were in rural health, transferring hard copy charts, if you were going to a rural clinic, things like that. Whereas now that's really shifted over to cybersecurity and privacy in that sense. I would say another big change is remote work. Virtual access has greatly increased, which is fabulous. We can have, outside of what we're able to do here at Ashton College. But like I said, with the coding positions, you can be virtual, transcription. There's a wide variety of release of information positions now you can work virtually as well. That's huge, right? Especially I think since the pandemic, everybody has kind of has a new approach and appreciation for working from home. For the most part, maybe some discovered they didn't like it, but I would say overall people enjoy being able to have that flexibility to work from home, or even if it's a hybrid position where you can go into the office a couple days a week and work from home a couple days. It's something that's really changed within the field that's fabulous as well. And I would say there's also been a significant growth in data analytics and AI, which is also exciting. We've all kind of dived into one way or another to AI, and it's actually pretty exciting. There's been significant growth in analytics. We all lived through the pandemic a few years ago, and we saw firsthand how valuable those statistics were on a daily basis when they were being posted. Throughout Canada on a daily basis, what those COVID numbers were, what serious cases were, what deaths were. That was every day of the pandemic that those statistics were pulled and provided to the general population. So that was a huge example of how beneficial that tracking analysis can be. And then later, resource planning, right? We had areas where they were able to determine where those resources needed to be allocated, where cases were higher, or what some trending areas might be to better plan as well. So it really showed the value at a national level of good quality data and how pulling statistics daily can benefit the entire country.
Wow, definitely. There's been a lot of changes. Definitely a field that evolves a lot, I guess. I mean, obviously with technology and as you said, COVID and remote work, that's, I mean, very exciting. Awesome. Well, those are all my questions from my side. Let me see what kind of audience questions we have. So somebody's asking, I wonder if we can get a well-paid job with the Ashton College diploma and grow in this career, or we need to necessarily have a bachelor's in order to grow in this career and be well compensated.
No, you do not need to have a bachelor's degree. No, the diploma will open up a lot of avenues for you. Um, I've the majority of health information professionals I have seen are from the diploma program. I haven't seen a ton from the degree program. So yes, you absolutely can grow a wonderful career from the diploma program.
Perfect. That's definitely great to know for sure. All right, then another question is, as a certified HIM practitioner, what type of entry-level roles does one get?
Usually we see them starting in a coding position, as I mentioned, but that doesn't necessarily need to be the case. A lot of times, you have a really good practicum. Perhaps there could be a way to start maybe into a temporary position at your practicum once you complete your national certification exam. Usually you don't see an entry level, being an analyst or privacy officer because you need to have some experience before that. But typically, a health information practitioner in acute care, public health, some of the rural health settings. Those ones, even clinics, are starting to hire more HIMs, long-term care. There's a wide variety of positions that would be entry level, and a lot of times coding to some degree, because there is a lot of that that needs to be done out there.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. All right, then another question is, what are some common misconceptions about health information management that you often encounter?
Well, it's gotten better, but I know years ago there was sort of we were branched under office assistants a bit, and more kind of the secretary duties. That was a big misconception, but that has really gotten better now that people are more aware of statistics. Where does this information come from? Um, and analysis, and seeing some of that information firsthand and different initiatives that the government may fund for different things going on in the world that are based on statistics and data that are coming from our collection and our analysis. So it has really improved. But I would say that was something that I certainly found the most frustrating when I, first started into the program is, some thinking of, more secretarial duties, which that isn't the case. We have a lot of knowledge that we can bring to the table, much beyond just those regular duties.
Okay, thank you so much. Then another question is, what are the most common challenges students face in the program, and how could they best prepare?
I think probably just, ensuring that they're devoting the right time, right? Because we do see students that are working, they're trying to balance that. Perhaps they're also balancing the family life. Maybe, falling a little bit short in time that they can devote to the program. So I would just say, if you can really devote that time and energy, you are setting yourself up for success in the program.
Perfect, great to know. Somebody else is asking, what is the labor market outlook for an HIM practitioner, say for the next 5 years?
I know that there are a lot of job postings. Again, I encourage you to get involved with CHIMA, the student membership, so you can view that job board. There's always jobs posted on the CHIMA job board, as well as a lot of health authorities will have internal postings for those positions. So you may not always be able to see those if you're not an internal applicant. However, I often encourage students, if they're not working and if they have the capacity to take on a casual position, whether it be an office assistant or maybe a nutrition services or an entry level position with a regional health authority or a provincial health authority, it gets them into the union, and then they can apply on those internal postings and can start building seniority as well.
Okay, awesome. That's definitely great to know for anyone looking to get into the field. All right, and there is another question. If you would like to give an average time for devoting for this program a week, how many hours would that be, including the lectures and practices?
Well, so as I said, our live classes are typically 3 hours. Okay, so that's 3 times a week. So you've got 9 hours right there. And then the other two recorded classes are usually 2 hours. Okay, so what are we at, 13? And then so 5 days a week, I would want to see you put in, at least an hour after class as well. So about 18 hours, give or take. Again, I know I hate to put an exact time limit on it because it really depends per module. You may have one module, like our pathophysiology coding, that's really heavy that you're putting in more than an hour per evening. And then you might go into one that you find, no, you're in good shape after class. You got to get a you got a good understanding. You perhaps had class time to work on an assignment or activity, and you don't feel like you need to put in any extra hours that evening. So it can vary. So I hate to say for sure, but around that approximate time frame.
Okay, awesome. Definitely great for students to have a little bit of a yeah, an idea what they can expect. Okay, so these are all our audience questions for right now. Thank you so much to everyone's participation. And so, Kyla, do you have any closing thoughts you'd like to share with us today?
Certainly feel free to reach out. Like I said, I've got 18 years now that I've been in HIM. I've worked in a variety of fields, of different settings. Like I said, I work for CHIMA as well. I would be more than happy to answer any questions that you might think of after the fact. Don't hesitate to reach out and don't hesitate to begin. It's, something that you'll never regret, taking on a program that you can further yourself and your career with. So don't delay, get registered. It's a wonderful program, and I'm confident that anybody that begins it will really find a passion for it.
Okay, perfect. Actually, I just got one other question in there here. They're wondering if the job postings mostly are posted in on Chima, or I guess the website.
Well, so employers can post their positions through Chima if they choose. And then, of course, any Chima positions are posted there as well. But no, there are many, many more positions outside of that as well. But as I said, some of them within unionized positions, which is most of our regional health authorities and provincial health authorities, are unionized positions. So unless it goes to an external applicant, so outside of the union, outside of the organization, you typically can't see those on the website. So if you're in an area where you want to be working for that health authority or that area, it's a good idea to get your foot in the door into that union with an entry-level position and start building a little bit of seniority and give you the access to view those internal postings as well.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. Thank you for all your answers, and yeah, your thorough responses. Perfect. So it was great chatting with you and helping prospective students learn more about this program. It's always such a great opportunity for students to learn more about their potential instructor before taking the program and getting some insight in their chosen field. Okay, and to all prospective students, if you're interested in the Diploma in Health Information Management, please learn more by scanning the QR code that will be screen shared in a minute. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us today, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.